Laura here from What Laura Likes. Today Melissa and I are doing a collab on marriage. So on our Instagrams, we asked you to give us questions on what you wanted to ask about our Catholic marriages, and we divvied up the questions and we're going to answer them. So if you guys don't know Melissa, it's Melissa Tablada, and she is a newlywed marriage and family counselor, Catholic wife. We thought it'd be fun to do it because we have different perspectives. Make sure that after this you go over to her channel, it'll be linked down below, so that you can see what she wants to share about marriage. If you have popped over here from her channel, welcome. My name is Laura and I talk about, well, marriage a little bit, but mostly I talk about homeschooling, Catholicism. I talk about that a lot. Also minimalism, lifestyle videos, that First question is, what 3 things do you recommend discussing before marriage? Now, I recommend discussing a lot of things before marriage, like all the basics, right? Money, kids, where you're gonna live, what your relationship with your in-laws is gonna look like, what are you gonna do on the weekends, whose career is gonna be kind of the first one, because most couples cannot have 2 careers and like track it in terms of like moving and those kind of things, or taking care of the kids. If you're watching this and you're a Catholic wife, most likely you want to stay home with your little ones. So if that's the case, then you need to talk about what that looks like, what can you do now to save for that time period so that you can stay home with your babies. And even if you don't plan on staying home, it's very likely that your sentiment will change once that baby is in your arms. So that's a good thing to kind of think through before you get married. And I'm assuming if they're watching this and you're Catholic, obviously you're gonna do premarital counseling, and obviously what your faith walk is gonna look like together, because I would say that's number 1. If you're a Catholic and you are dating someone or engaged with someone who is not Catholic, take a pause and find out if that person is willing to become Catholic. At the very least, they need to agree to have a sacramental marriage, which requires them to agree to raise the children Catholic. It's very, very important for kids that your spouse is on the same page as you, or at least goes through the motions, because otherwise your kids are likely not going to grasp hold of your faith. I even heard somewhere, and I will try to find a study if I can, that the man his faith walk is more important than mom's. So for both kids, both girls and boys. So something to keep in mind for sure. Oh, and one other thing about, I know this is more than 3, but one other thing to talk about is really kind of understanding your conflict styles. Kind of work through things to where you say, when we're married, I expect X, Y, and Z. Like, I would prefer if you don't leave the house when you're mad, or I prefer that you don't do silent treatment for 2 days. So destructive. Please don't do destructive things. And if you see these kind of red flags popping up before you get married, make sure you get some counseling done before you take your vows. Because as a Catholic, there's no such thing as divorce. And I don't want there to be such a thing as divorce. But you need to choose wisely and then treat kindly. So choosing wisely is so, so important. Second question, it's a 3-parter. It had, is my spouse Catholic? What's the most difficult part of marriage? What's my favorite part of marriage? And dating advice. That's a lot to throw into one question, but I'll give it a try. So, is my spouse Catholic? Yes. He was not raised Catholic. He had actually, when he proposed to me, he had no plans on becoming Catholic. He did know that it was a deal breaker if he did not marry me in the church as a sacrament. So he already knew that going in. He was attending church with me, just not as a Catholic. Obviously, that was another deal breaker, as I wasn't going to marry someone who wasn't attending Mass with me regularly. But he did decide to convert, thanks be to God, while we were engaged. So he became Catholic just a couple months before we were married, and then has been on this journey to kind of discover the faith for himself. But yes, he is Catholic. The most difficult part of marriage, I would say, are the fights. And I guess that's just kind of in general something that happens. I mean, that's the hardest part, because you don't want to fight with your best friend. So really, it's all about being humble. It's all about acknowledging your part of it, and I can honestly say that about 99% of the fights in my house are because of me. Either I'm too sensitive or I take things the wrong way. You really want to always give your spouse that benefit of the doubt, that they meant something in the best possible way. And as women, we can just be sensitive and we go through our hormonal times, and I know I can talk with the tone. My husband is so nice and I'm like such a brat sometimes. So it's really about being sure to say you're sorry. And like I said before, do not use silent treatments. Do not use nasty tactics. Don't call each other names. I mean, really, you guys are married now, and like, do your absolute best to treat each other with kindness. You know, use humor. It is the weirdest thing, but sometimes when I make my husband laugh in the middle of a fight, it's like, it'll, you know, shed some of that. And just know, if you're newlyweds, it's going to take time to kind of figure out how to fight well. Brian and I don't fight as much anymore as we used to. And I say this because whenever we're in like a really great time in our marriage, I'm like, I would never fight with you. I love you. Look at your cute face. If you guys have watched the movie This Is 40, that is literally my husband and I. Like, it's so funny, but like, yeah, that's pretty much us. Just know that, you know, fights are gonna happen, and don't be destructive. Take a deep breath. You're in this for life, so it makes sense to really figure these things out early on. My favorite part of marriage, there's so many, but really, obviously, just getting to go through life with my best friend, to have this man in my life who I know, like, God sees as, like, you know, this, right? Like, two become one. And so whatever we go through in life, we're always there for each other. And so it's just, it's fun. It's fun raising kids together. It's fun working through problems together. It's fun making decisions together. Okay, and then dating advice. Oh my gosh, I could make a whole summer video on dating advice. So I really, really want to say, one, there is a book titled 10 Stupid Things Women Do to Mess Up Their Lives. I suggest anyone who is single or dating read this book. If you're dating and you're on your way towards marriage, read The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands by Dr. Laura. I will link all these below. And The Proper Care and Feeding of Marriage, you could work through with your significant other. Dr. Laura is very straight to the point, but it's all amazing wisdom. And she wants everyone to have very strong, healthy marriages. When you're dating someone, you should be dating someone who, one, you don't expect to change. Ladies, you cannot change your man, okay? He's not going to flip a switch when you get married. He's not gonna flip a switch when you have kids. If anything, things are gonna get harder, okay? So you need to marry someone who you are in awe of, who you think are the bee's knees, or whatever that phrase is. Like, you love that person, you think he's amazing. Of course, he's gonna have his flaws, or she's gonna have his flaws if this guy's watching, but you really want to just honor, respect, be in awe of, feel inspired by, feel treated by. And then the other thing is, obviously, any habits that your husband has or your partner has now, like I said, they're not gonna necessarily change. So if you have someone who drinks, if you have someone who's addicted to gaming, if you have someone who just likes to hang out with his buddies all the time and you feel like you're second fiddle, if you have someone who has addiction issues in general, like, again, these need to be addressed before you walk down the aisle, because just saying I do is not going to automatically make him mature, especially if there's some underlying addiction that needs to be addressed. And all of a sudden you're trapped with kids, and now you're like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? And it's a lot messier on the other side of marriage. How to keep the spark alive with kids. Okay, ladies, you know, be intimate with your husbands. What else can I say? You need to maintain this. I don't care if you think you're fat. I don't care if, you know, you're tired. You need to maintain this. Most men feel they're most loved when they're intimate with you. And so it's really, really important that you put effort into this and that you don't act like it's a chore. Frequency is going to create more of a spark. This is really, like, I'm being real here. If you need to, schedule it. You know, 3 times a week. When is that gonna happen? Let's pick some nights. But on the flip side, also be spontaneous. Like, I'm just gonna be real here. Like, you know, if the kids are watching a movie and you got 10 minutes, I'm just saying, feed that fire, guys. And then also, make sure that throughout the day you're touching each other, you're kissing, make out in the kitchen in front of the kids. They might say, ew, but you know what? They are feeling so much more secure seeing that than if you never touched each other. Trust me, that keeps the spark alive. Flirt. Go on dates. Obviously, everyone's situation is different. When family comes to my town, we take off and go on a date. Even if it's like to the grocery store. Even if it's, what did we do? Well, we went shooting the other day. But just, you know, go on a date. Once a month is like our goal, and so far we've met that, and it makes a huge difference just getting that time alone. Oh, our kids are in youth group now, and they're both in youth group. So we got like an hour and a half just to hang out in the car together, and it was so fun, and like that counts as a date. And then obviously put away your devices. Do not always have your head buried in something. Sit your butts down together, talk, watch a movie, watch a show together, whatever, like play video game, or not, well, not unless you want to play video games, but play board games and things, and just feed the relationship. Like, you guys, God, marriage, kids. God, marriage, kids. Right under God is marriage. It's not kids. Kids are down here. As much as we love our kids, they do not come before our marriage, because our marriage is our vocation, and kids and being a mother is within marriage. So you have to feed the marriage. The marriage, the family you've created with the two of you, is the mini church, and you want to protect that and make sure that that's not destroyed. I had a question about if it was important to, be financially secure before you get married. My short answer is no. No. Do not wait to be blessed by the sacrament of marriage until your finances are in order. Now, caveat, both of you should be very blunt about your money situations. No like lying or hiding or anything. And then also, like I said before, if you plan on getting pregnant right away, or if it does happen, you need to have a plan, because most of us don't want to put our kids in daycare, and it's a bummer when we have to, because both people have to work. And so it's important, if that is the one thing about finances, is really he needs to have a job that can support both of you. And if he doesn't, how can he get a job? What kind of education can he go get? What kind of training can he go get? Do you guys want to join the military? I mean, it's a hard life, but it gives that opportunity. It's not a hard life. It's just a different life. But, so it's really important to think through those things. Those are the money questions I would ask. But becoming debt-free first, no. Having a house first, no. Go live in a one-bedroom apartment and go be married together. It is beautiful. Don't wait. My favorite part about sharing my faith with my husband is probably right now going to confession together. I love going to confession together, because you walk out of that confessional and you're just like so awesome. I love practicing the sacraments together. I love going to mass together. I love going to confession together. I love discussing religion. I mean, I love teaching our kids. It's just when you share the faith, obviously everything is aligned. And we're all in different places in our faith walk, but that doesn't mean that there's not such a blessing by just sharing the fundamentals and being able to talk about, we both agree that there's such a thing as purgatory. Like, just little things, Okay, the last question I have is advice for single women who are preparing for the vocation of marriage. So first off, read that book, Proper Cure and Feeding of Husbands. As a kind of a basis, learn to cook. Learn to cook 14 dinners, okay? Like, just spaghetti and meatballs, taco pie, like whatever. Simple stuff, but like have about 14 meals just that you can cook. I don't really like cooking, but man, it makes my husband's heart just so full when I cook. I'm gonna actually go make him mac and cheese again, because it's a rainy, cold day out today, and cold, like 70. That's cold in the South now. Apparently I've acclimated, or the Midwest, or wherever I am. Just get some basics down so you're not feeding your husband freezer meals when you finally take on that role. Also learn to keep a tidy house. Kind of learn how to, get rid of clutter now. Don't be a pack rat. If you are, pick up Marie Kondo's book, The Magic of Tidying Up. I'll link it down below, game changer. Or, watch some minimalism videos. I have a few. Just kind of like get an idea of how to keep a house and what it looks like to have a cleaning schedule. These are things that will really just help you once you dive into marriage. Like, just kind of jumpstart these basic skills that a lot of us aren't learning anymore. And then don't go into student debt if possible. Just don't. If it's possible, work through college. If I could do it again, I would work through college. You don't have to you don't need all A's in college. You just need to pass, but like the debt follows you around forever. I do want to say, make sure again that you check out Melissa's video. I will pin it down below. It'll be up here. It'll be all over the place. Also, there was one question about how to get your husbands to come to church with you. I don't have the answer to that question, but I do know that my husband has some words for men who do not support their wives' faith walk. So beware. He is going to pop on camera with me hopefully in the next couple weeks, and we're gonna talk about it. It is a problem. I see a lot of wives who really want to raise their children Catholic and be Catholic, and something is stopping, you know, their husbands are stopping them. And when this is our salvation, when this is our joy, when this is our peace, like, my husband has some things to say about men who decide they want to, you know, do something like that. So that's coming up. So again, yeah, I hope if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, I would love it if you subscribe. That would be so awesome. And ring the notification bell if you'd like to know when I put a new video out. And until next time, you guys have a blessed day. Just tell me down below what your favorite thing about being married. If you have any other questions, let me know. All right, have a beautiful day. Bye.